What's happening, everyone? Welcome back for another episode of the Chamber Podcast. My name is Rob Johnson. Joining me in the studio today is Dr. Payman Dorri.
Hey,
Lavender
Rob, how you
Dental
doing?
Group. I'm doing well. Doing well. You are Lavender Dental Group.
That's right. That is correct.
And you've been in the dental game about 10 years?
Me personally, yeah, I graduated about 8 years ago. And I mean, I am not myself just Lavender Dental Group, right? There's a lot of us. But we have about 10 offices across the state, pretty much mainly in the Metro Detroit area. But we do go as far as Dutton, which is right next to Grand Rapids. It's a great group. It's really led by dentists, so it's clinician-led. We do great work for people, and everybody that's in the group is just really focused on making sure we deliver the best care for our patients. We've got some great technologies that we use to help do that. So it's a great group to be a part of. I've known a lot of the leadership in the group for many years. And I moved to Minnesota actually for a couple of years in 2019. And when I was coming back to Michigan, I specifically wanted to be a part of this group. Just because what I know of the founders of the group and what I know as far as how they provide care to patients. So it's a great group to be a part of, both as a dentist and as a patient.
So as I was researching the practice, one thing that was right up on Front Street, which I appreciated, was it's a network of sorts. You got, like I said, 10 offices.
Yeah.
And it seems like one of the benefits of that is you guys can actually practice dentistry.
Yeah, that's
and
the
not
nice
have
thing
to
about
worry
it.
about all of the back end.
Right.
Which to me is a pretty good model for scale. How has that worked in terms of making sure like customer satisfaction maintains? Has that been helpful? Has that been that type of fractionalization of the company? Has that been more problematic? How's that been seen by customers or patients, I guess?
So I think in our case, patients have been really, really fortunate and happy with how we have it set up. And I think it can go either way, right? Just like anything you do, it can go either way.
Sure.
A lot of medicine and dentistry today is started to go towards larger groups. And I think there's a lot of good with that. And sometimes you find things that are less than ideal with that, right? The less than ideal, sometimes you have a dentist one visit and you go in for your 6-month cleaning and you see a different dentist and then a different one, right? So there's a lot of turnover sometimes in any situation like that. And that's not great, because especially something like dentistry, you want to really build a relationship, build rapport, because you want to be comfortable where you're going, right? You're not going to a car wash, right? You're going to a dental office. And so you want to be comfortable with who you're working with. You want to make sure that they know what's going on with you, what's important to you. So those are some of the things that sometimes could be unideal. But in the right setup, the right situation, which I truly believe Lavender Dental has set up, it allows you, like you said, it allows the dentist to be dentists, right? So we're focused on taking care of our patients as far as the dentistry. One of our offices a few weeks ago, there was, something was going on with the plumbing or something like that. And if I'm the dentist and I'm dealing with that, but I also have a full schedule of patients, I may not be delivering the best care to those patients on that specific day. But when I'm the dentist and that's what I do there, I can just focus on the dentistry. I don't have to worry about a lot of the other things going on. And with such a network, if there's something that a procedure that we want to do, something new that we learn about, we have a network of other doctors that we can kind of interact with and share ideas with. So when implemented properly, having a group kind of to back you up helps so that you can deliver the best care for patients. So I feel that our patients have found that it's been really great for them coming in, not only for the care they receive, but like I said, we've got great technologies that we're able to help our patients with, and we're able to spend time with them to make sure that they understand the care that we're recommending for them and answer any questions that they have.
So in New Hudson, how long have you been in that office?
So we actually opened that office from ground zero, patient zero. Somewhere
the CDC is like, not again.
Right, not again. But really, we had 0 patients. Our first patient ever knows he's our first patient, and every time he comes in, he's like, yeah, I was your first patient. I'm like, I know, I was here, I know. But so we started with no patients and have been ramping up since July of last year, so it hasn't even been a year yet. But it's been great. It's a great community, the New Hudson area. So we're serving people from Milford. We have people from South Lyon and surrounding areas, even Novi. We have one patient coming in from Jackson that comes to see us in our new Hudson office. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Sounds like you guys need to open an office in Jackson.
I mean, we've got at least one patient already, so we don't be quite patient zero then, right?
Yeah. So I guess two questions. Are you guys taking new patients right now? And what are the most common things that people come in to see you guys for?
Sure. We are absolutely taking in new patients. And patients come in a lot of times for a number of reasons. So the area around New Hudson, South Lyon, it's really growing. So a lot of times patients are moving into that area. And as they're moving in, they're looking for a new dentist. So just looking for a new dentist, maybe they've had their last cleaning 6 months ago and it's time for their 6-month visit. And so they come to our office to check us out and make sure that they're going to be happy there. A lot of times we have a lot of referrals from other patients, because we really put an emphasis on educating our patients. And when I sit down with the patient and let's say, they've had their x-rays taken, it's their first visit, right? They had x-rays and probably their cleaning done. And we sit down and go over things. We have dual monitors, for example. So I will put everything up on their monitor and go over it with them. I review the x-rays with them, let them see everything that we're looking at and explain what we're finding. And so patients really walk away feeling like they had a good educational experience to where they understand their mouth better than they ever did.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times our patients are going out and kind of sharing that with their friends and family. So we're getting a lot of patients coming in that have maybe been going to the dentist, even maybe, in a close by area, but just never felt like they truly understood what's going on with their mouth or why certain things are recommended or not. So those are some of the driving factors that are bringing people into our office.
Okay. And so let's talk about you for a minute. So you're from Southern California?
Yes, sir.
Where at?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. And the weather sucked, so you decided to go to Minnesota.
Well, the weather was terrible, so I came to Michigan. And it wasn't quite as much better, it was just a little better, but not much better. So I'm like, let's go to Minnesota for a couple of years. And so that's what we wanted. Like, that's it was always frozen, right?
The vacation destination of the States.
Yeah. So we're going to do Alaska next.
Yeah,
and we decided to come back to Michigan.
Yeah. Let's see how Antarctica goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, just tell me about that. I guess like as a kid, is this what you always want to do? Did you always want to go into medicine, or tell me what provoked you to become a dentist?
Yeah, great question. So Rob, I actually, as a kid, always wanted to go into the medical field. I didn't know if I wanted to be an MD, a dentist, or what, but I knew I wanted to go into the medical field. And so kind of going through high school and then even into undergrad, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. So I worked while I was an undergrad, and a lot of what I recognized about myself is that I really enjoy interacting with people. And I enjoy helping to, whether it's a product, a service that I have to offer, I really enjoy understanding from people what it is that they really need, and then trying to help figure out, okay, how is what I have to offer going to benefit you as my customer, my patient?
Yeah.
So that to me kind of translated really well into dentistry as I started exploring dentistry. Because again, I feel that a lot of times patients it's not that they don't understand what's going on with their mouth. They're never given the opportunity to truly understand what's going on with their oral care and how they can improve it, or how the service that dentist offers can help them achieve what their goals are, right? You may walk into, any medical office and you have a bunch of questions. Sometimes those questions get answered. Sometimes you walk away with more questions than you have answers, right? So I found that is something that I really enjoyed doing. And then that slowly just started transitioning into dentistry. And so when I was 28, got into dental school, and I've been loving the field ever since.
That's great. So I think one thing I enjoy asking, we've had a few dentists on the show before, but one thing I enjoy asking is, what don't you do?
Sure.
At the office? I think that's helpful for people to know as well.
Yeah, as far as procedures that we necessarily wouldn't. Sure, that's a great question. We kind of cover all aspects of dentistry. As a general dentist, you do a lot of the different parts, whether it's oral surgery, endodontics. So we offer a lot of different services, almost anything under the dental umbrella. The only thing in our office, let's say specifically, we don't do is orthodontics, tooth movement. But even with that, our right next door in the same building is a great orthodontist.
I see.
You've had Dr. Anish Gupta on your show as well. He's also on the other side, right next door to us. So we have some great referral sources too. So as a general dentist, we do almost any part of dentistry. But there's certain cases that are beyond our capabilities. And that's one of the things with a great dentist. You know, if you have a dentist that you know and trust, one of the great things that dentist can do for you is know what is in their capabilities to do a great job for you. And if it's beyond their abilities, they refer you to the proper specialist.
Okay. Now, I don't want to break any HIPAA laws, but can you tell me like some of the crazy, like one crazy story of like something that happened?
Yeah. So being a dentist, I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff you see, right?
So I worked in the ER for a number of years, and I saw I have a lot of great party stories.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't talk to many dentists though, in terms of like in my friend network. So I don't get these stories, and I figure why not ask today?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess one of my favorite stories that I like to share. We had a patient. I was working in a nonprofit group for a few years, and great place to work. And, you know, we helped a lot of people, and we had a patient that was coming into our office to extract a couple teeth, and it was 2 teeth that we were removing. And this patient he came in like 2 hours early, and he was pacing in the office back and forth, just super nervous. And so, during that time, like during those couple days, I think it was like 2017 or 18, like there was a lot of like windstorms or something going on, and the power kept coming in and out, right? So he's in the office pacing, and then when he comes to the back room, he's like, if the power goes out, I'm going to freak out. I'm going to jump. I'm so nervous to be here. And he's really, really terrified.
Yeah.
So we sit him down, and I sit down, I talk to him like, look, here's what's going on. We're extracting 2 teeth. This is going to be very routine, straightforward. Nothing they need to be very concerned about. We're going to make sure you're comfortable. This is our assistant. She's going to go over some things with you just for you to review over, some things to know for before and after the procedure. And she's going to make sure you're feeling comfortable before we get started. He's like, all right, I'm going to try my best. I'm like, okay, just relax. She's going to go over some stuff with you. While she's doing that, I'm going to go YouTube how to do this procedure.
Oh, I love that.
And so at that point, the look on this guy's face was like, oh my God, like all my fears are coming true right now. Like I knew it, like This is it for me. And so my assistant starts laughing. My hygienist was walking by. She started cracking up. And like 5 seconds into it, the guy realized that like I'm totally joking with him. And he realized like, okay, the doctor's being very lighthearted about this. He's obviously very comfortable with this. And that actually helped him get really comfortable after that. And he was a great patient afterward. Like every time he'd come in, like, hey, you're the YouTube guy, right? Like, yeah, that's me. So I think that's one of my favorite stories because it was hilarious. But at the same time, it helped the patient kind of calm down and relax and realize, hey, like, we're going to take care of you. You're in a good place. You're in a safe place. So that's probably one of my favorite stories.
That's great. I love that. And just reassure him if the power goes out.
If the power goes out,
we have the wrench.
Yeah, we've got the wrench.
It's adjustable.
Yeah, you'll be
tighten
fine.
It up.
You'll be fine. We have instruments from back in the day before they had electricity. Anyway,
Yeah,
you'll be fine.
That's fine. I love that story. What is your favorite and least favorite thing about being a dentist?
That's a pretty good question. I think my favorite thing is there's so much art to dentistry. So one of the things in our office that, you know, a lot of other offices do as well, I'd say the majority don't. I'm just shooting off the top of my head. Maybe 10% of offices do this. But so let's say crowns. You familiar with what a crown is? Mm-hmm. Okay, so a crown, you know, normally we would shave down part of the tooth, and then you put a cap over the tooth, and that's a crown, right? Looks just like a tooth, functions like a tooth, and it's whether maybe they have a big cavity or a crack or whatever it is. So with crowns, normally you prepare the crown, and then you take an impression, right, and you send it to a lab, and then like 2-3 weeks later, that comes back with the crown, and hopefully in that time frame, their temporary hasn't come off. In our office, we do digital imaging, okay, which a lot of offices do digital imaging. We do digital imaging, but then we design and make the crowns right there in the office.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's a lot of art to preparing the tooth for the crown, getting everything right. But then also like designing the crown, it's really cool because we get to put in, everything about it, the shape, the size, how it's going to interact with the opposing arch. So if it's a lower tooth, how it's going to interact with their upper arch, how it's going to interact with the teeth in the area. Just today, we had a patient in for a crown, and he was just really blown away, like watching his crown be designed. So I would say that's one of my favorite things is the art in dentistry, and especially now with the technologies that we have in our office, like designing our own crowns. It makes it to where we can really practice that art side of dentistry a lot as well. Least favorite things, that's a tough one. There's a lot of parts of it I enjoy. I think maybe one of the most difficult things for me being a dentist, and I still haven't, 8 years in, I still haven't figured out the best way about this, is if I go somewhere and let's say I'm talking to somebody at the grocery store or at the checkout counter, or if I'm getting a cup of coffee or something, and I notice something about their mouth or their teeth that I'm like, I can really help this person. I haven't figured out a good way to go about that and be like, hey, I'm a dentist. I think I can help you. I'd love to help you. Are you interested in doing anything about your smile? Like, I haven't figured out the best way to go about it and not sound like a jerk.
Yeah. What are you trying to say?
Yeah, exactly.
What I'm trying to say, you're missing 6 teeth and we need to fix this. That's what I'm trying to
And they're all in the front, but I'm just saying.
I love that. I thought you were going to say, like, when you're at the supermarket and someone comes up to you and they're like, hey, what do you do? And you're like, I'm a dentist. And they start like showing you things.
That doesn't happen that much at the supermarket, but mainly at the meat counter,
That's good. Thank God you're not a proctologist, right? People doing that all the time.
At the meat counter?
Well, you never know.
So if they're showing me their mouth at the grocery store, okay, gotcha, yeah.
You just never know.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd imagine doctors have that all the time where if you're a podiatrist, people are taking off their shoes in a hurry. It's a whole thing. That's why I didn't be a doctor. I didn't be bothered with all the people.
Now I'm thinking I should have been a proctologist just to see how that would go. Like, you're at a party, like, I was wondering, actually. Let me show you something.
Yeah. My my grandpa had this joke. He told me probably once every 3 months for the first 20 years of my life. And I didn't get it until I was like a teenager, but he'd walk in and someone would be talking about what they do. And it's out of nowhere. He'd be like, I always wanted to be a proctologist. And then he'd pause and then come back in the room and be like, but I could never find any openings. I'm like, bro, I don't get the joke. And then finally, as I was like 13, I'm like, oh, I get it.
That's pretty good. That's
a pretty good joke.
Okay.
It's somewhat suitable for kids.
It's definitely for the first part of your life. It's a good thing to start with. Yeah. That's how I want to remember Grandpa. Yeah,
absolutely. So anything else the listeners need to know before we get out of here today?
I just want to say, like you said, we are taking new patients, especially for people that maybe have been a little nervous about going in, or if anyone's embarrassed about their smile or anything. It's really a great place, a safe place to come in, feel comfortable, just understand more about your own oral health and how we can help you just achieve the goals that you want to achieve, whatever those goals may be with your mouth.
I love it. We'll make sure all your contact information is linked up in the show notes so people can find you guys and get booked.
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this week's episode. You can find all of the links for our guests today in the show notes. Be sure to check them out, and we will see you on next week's show. Take care.